Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're on the lymphatic system. So, the lymphatic system is obviously our ability to detoxify, from the body's point of view, but it also is a way that we throw off lower vibrational energy. And it's also a way that we even detoxify the brain, not exactly directly, but when the lymphatic system is backed up, the sensory nerves tend to be overactivated. Lymphatic stagnation will overstimulate sensory nerves and makes them fire more. It's overwhelming to the brain. It causes brain fatigue, and it diminishes the body's ability to detoxify the brain. Then, on top of that, it's also a transport mechanism for hormones, and it's also tied to cardiovascular function. And so the lymphatic system is tied to a lot of things, your body's ability to fight off viruses, bacteria, cancers, things like this. And so I would say lymphatic system is right up there with the aspect of the immune system. It's a different aspect of the immune system, but it's also a different aspect of the cardiovascular system. So with that, it's tied to a lot of different things. You can see the list of conditions to use lymphatic auric programming is very long. And so when in doubt, you could always do the lymphatic system. So with the lymphatic system, the blend we're using is the lymphatic blend. So you have the lymphatic blend out. And let's begin inhaling with your awareness on the left side of the body. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the left side of the body. Left side of the face and neck, the left shoulder, ribs, the left hip, down the outer leg to the left outer ankle. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then you're moving to the front side of your body, the whole front side, your face and throat, your chest, abdomen, down the fronts of your legs to the tops of your feet. Your awareness is on the right side of the body. The right side of your body. Your awareness is on the right side of your body. Now your awareness is on the back side of the body. Back of the head and neck, down the whole back, your hips, down the backs of your legs to your heels. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then pause and be still. Just pause and be still. Now, that is the standard approach. So you could add that to practically any process that you're doing, especially when it comes to physical or psychological healing, including some sort of energetic approach. It is tied to how we throw off lower vibrational energy in the body. So another way of saying that is you could say the lymphatic system is tied to how the body evolves, raising vibration and evolving. And so with that, you're also throwing off conditioning, as the body shifts and changes, you still have to throw off those lower vibrational energies. So you could do that with any other process. You could do it on a standalone, therapy approach. And you could also do it in a stack, an Auric programming stack. But with that, we're going to go into the advanced approach. This is something you could do to 1 to 2 times a week. And again, you're beginning, your awareness is on the left side of the body. Whole left side of the face and neck, left shoulder, all the way down to the left outer ankle. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. On the left side of your body, you're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. The front side of the body, the face and throat, chest, abdomen, all the way down to the tops of your feet. And then the back side of the body, your whole back side, back of your head and neck, your whole back, your hips, down the backs of your legs to your heels. And taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Then the right side of the body, your whole right side of your face and neck, your right shoulder and hips, all the way down to the right outer ankle. Nice, long, slow, and deep breaths. And then the front side of your body, the whole front side. Your face and throat, your chest, down the whole front side, down the fronts of the legs to the tops of your feet. And then pause and be still. Pause and be still. Let that feeling relaxing. Mm, mm. Here, just being still for a moment. Now let's do your knees. The front, the sides, and the back, like the whole knee, or just the back of the knees. Move your awareness to the ankles. Your awareness is on your ankles. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Okay. And then the soles of your feet. Your awareness is on the soles of your feet. And then just pause and be still. Okay. 4 quadrants again. Left side of your body, left side of your face and neck, your left shoulder, all the way down to the left outer ankle. And then the front side of the body. Move your awareness to the right side of the body, right side of the face and neck, the right shoulder, hip, all the way down the right outer leg to the right outer ankle. And then the back side of the body, the whole back side, back of the head and neck, the back shoulder, the whole back, the hips, the backs of the legs. And then just pause and be still. You're going to begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the brain. Your awareness is on the brain. Your spine, your awareness is on your spine. Your brain and spine both at the same time. Your brain and soles of the feet, both at the same time. And as you inhale, move your awareness up above the ankles. As you exhale, down into the earth. Inhale up, exhale down. And then pause and be still. Just let it incubate for a moment. Okay, let's share experiences, ask questions. We just worked the Auric program for the lymphatic system. So at first, we're just going to talk about the Auric program and your shares. And then after a few minutes, we'll jump into normal Q&A and we can answer your questions at that point. But at first, let's just do Auric programming questions and shares just for a few minutes. So go ahead, unmute yourself, type in, fire away.
And you can raise your hand, you can unmute yourself, you can type into the chat, but however works for you. Yeah, go ahead, Ralph.
Hey, Ralph.
Hey, Greg. Does the lymphatic program, or how does the lymphatic program interact with the vagal tone?
Well, I would say they're very hand in hand. For there to be proper lymphatic function, vagal tone would definitely have to be in play. When you're in more of a sympathetic nervous system dominant, body function, basically you're in fight, flight, or stress, or whatever you want to call it. Your body allocates like effort, energy, direction specific to that level of, activation of the nervous system. So if you're in fight flight, things like detoxifying the body and, even things like bowel movements and urination, become more about got to empty out the bowels and urinate so that I can run or fight. So detoxifying, for example, is not on the list for, fighting or running or whatever you have to do. And so when there is uh, too much sympathetic nervous system activity and action and not enough vagal tone, your body doesn't really repair itself or detoxify itself. So when you increase vagal tone, you're also increasing the body functions in the body that are in that rest and repair mode. So good vagal tone would also mean good lymphatic function. And so I would say they're hand in hand. Now, the little bit of a curveball is that when we become so sympathetic nervous system driven, like basically when you've been stressed out for a long period of time, I've actually had this a couple of times in my life where you start to develop a thing called dystonia. And it means that, just how we talk about like vagal tone, in the sympathetic part of the nervous system, you can lose tone as well. And it doesn't mean that you're not able to go and fight flight more. It just means things become erratic. You start having very erratic functions in your body, and your body becomes like hyper reactive to stress and hyper reactive to any sort of like little stimuli, and your body just goes into this like kind of crisis mode at the drop of a hat. And so, if you look at the idea of like how sometimes we talk about like at the beginning of using something for proper lymphatic function, back when we were doing those lymphatic weekends, one of the very first things we do is we'd use lemongrass. So lemongrass is not really a lymphatic stimulant, but it helps put the body into like kind of a rest and repair mode. It has a balancing effect on the autonomic nervous system, but also it tones the sympathetic nerve. And sometimes that is also a little bit of an issue. That next class that we're going to do on vagal tone, where we do a little bit of a deeper dive on vagal tone, we're going to look at its counterpart and toning up the other side so that vagal tone can work even better, because it's not just like vagal tone. We do that and it resolves everything. We still have to maintain like that proper tone in that part of the nervous system. And so part of why lemongrass is a good first step in lymphatic function is that it stimulates vagal tone. It balances out, sympathetic, which is fight, flight, and rest and repair, but it also is toning to that sympathetic nerve. And so, with that, the function of the autonomic nervous system is really key to having good lymphatic function. And so that also means heart function. It also means, immune system, detoxifying, but also, like in things like if you're struggling with viruses, bacterias, cancers, chaotic cell growth, any of those things, all of those things kind of play into like how well is that part of the nervous system balanced out. And so I would say that the more that you spend time really looking at the autonomic nervous system and working it and balancing it out, it has physical health benefits, it has psychological benefits, but even, that's one of the things in Astara is Erlene Cheney, back when she was writing the books back in the 50s, was talking about how the sympathetic nerves and parasympathetic nerves were really directly tied to the tree of life. They're tied to our spiritual growth and our spiritual development. And so, even if you just look at it from a point of view of therapeutic applications, you're still going down that road. But it's the idea even of like chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. Part of those conditions, and you could throw brain fatigue in there. Part of those conditions are not just that there's balance and tone, but also there's a thing called asthenia, right? And asthenia just means that that part of the nervous system has gotten depleted. So even if you improve like vagal tone and you improve the tone of the sympathetic nerve and you've balanced them out, well, if they're depleted, their potential is much less. And so even that idea of us working with angels and, doing that whole process, yes, it's a spiritual practice. It has psychological healings, especially in the emotional component of the body. But the reason why angels work so well in the emotional realm, they impact the emotional realm a lot more than they impact the mental realm. But part of that is that it has an impact on the autonomic nervous system, and it also has an impact on asthenia, Like it's fortifying to that part of the nervous system. And so a lot of times, a lot of these things that we do are overlapping in a lot of different ways. But I try not to make things like too confusing. And, sometimes I get a little vague. It's just because our brains will do different things with it. But a lot of times these things are very overlapped.
Mhm.
When we're working something on one level and then it looks like we jump to like angels or something, we're still working the same thing, but we're working it in a different way. And so I would say vagal tone has something to do with just about any health issue. Like any health issue, you could throw vagal tone into it. But I would also say, especially in pain syndromes, dystonia plays a big role. Like my personal experience is when I was in excruciating pain, I started to develop dystonia. And I had it a couple of different times, and I still watch for it to make sure that it doesn't flare up. And much better at looking for it and managing it for myself than I used to be. But a bunch of pain and poor sleep and maybe some stress at work or something, and you're right back to that place where you got poor vagal tone, you got a little dystonia, that part of the nervous system is depleted, and so we've been talking about these things for a while, but this rest of the year we're doing a deeper dive on everything. Like, we're basically going to make like little booklets for you guys for all these things so you can troubleshoot all the different issues that come up.
Okay. So if I'm going to be, let's say I'm motivated to use the breadth of 12 inches above the crown, and then some particular chakra or gland group, which gland group or chakra or body system would be most effective at improving the lymphatic system?
The throat is always the good thing to work for the lymphatic system.
Yeah.
I would also pair it with the crown.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the reason being that the throat is a lower reflection of the crown. And
Right.
when the crown is working better, you also have better cerebral spinal fluid circulation. And cerebral spinal fluid circulation and lymphatic function are like hand in hand. And there is some osteopaths that actually say that they're actually all part of the same thing. It's just a different part of the system. And then there's some people who say they are separate. I kind of lean more towards that. If they're separate, they're so entwined you can't tell, but most likely they're part of the same system. And they even have a name for lymphatic function as it has to do with detoxifying the brain. And I think they go hand in hand. I really do. Like, the nervous system and the lymphatic system, you think of the lymphatic system as being more cardiovascular or more immune, but it's so intertwined with the nervous system. Good example, lymphatic system is backed up, all your sensory nerves fire probably 10 to 20 times faster than normal. Like just that. I
Okay.
mean, that shows that the nervous system and
Mm.
the lymphatic system are so crazy closely intertwined that there really is not that much separation. And so, you could use the lymphatic system as being kind of a gauge also for like overall health, because you can look at cardiovascular function, you can look at immune function, you then can look at endocrine function because it's ability to take the hormones and deposit them in particular areas. You look at the nervous system. I mean, you look at a lot of gut issues where people say there's food allergies, there's food sensitivities, I have gluten intolerances or intolerant to lactose. Another way of saying all that is poor lymphatic movement in the gut. Like that really, between the nerves and lymphatic movement in the gut, that produces most of those conditions. So even then, you can say that it's separate, but it's really not. You know,
Okay.
really not. And so, you know, you know, I have this like long-standing joke is you know how people get really like fixated on the Illuminati. You know how like the Illuminati's into this and Illuminati's into that. I
Oh
always
yeah.
joke around here, the lymphatic system's my Illuminati. It's tied to everything. It's the hidden secret behind everything. It's the physical Illuminati. And so uh,
Okay.
because I mean you can literally take like any condition like you were just saying,
Hmm.
vagal tone and lymphatic function, even if you didn't know what it was, if you start treating that, usually the condition will start getting better.
Okay.
Like I have a couple of people that I've been working on recently that had substantial PTSD and everything, and started working the nervous system, the lymphatic system, started improving vagal tone. All their symptoms are going away. And they keep asking me, like, you didn't even ask me about the details of the situation. I was like, none of that matters.
Yeah.
Like, it matters to you because it happened. But as far as healing this condition, that story really has, at some point we might go through it and work it, but this is a neurological, vagal tone lymphatic issue. Like that's what it is. And so
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
could throw that in anything and the person will get better.
And in
They'll still
engineers,
need tweaks in little areas, but
mhm.
those three things, they'll always get better.
In engineer speak, let's deal with the root cause and the rest of it falls away.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm dealing with, breathing 12 inches above the crown throat. Do the crown throat simultaneously?
Yeah, you could do them individually and then do them together. Or
Okay.
yeah, there's something to be said. When you do the crown and the throat at the same time, it produces electric energy,
Mhm.
energy with consciousness in the body, which will also deepen the healing process.
Yeah. Well, they're so tightly tied. That's why I was thinking about it.
Yeah,
That.
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And then we do have a question and share as well, but if you want to go ahead and raise your hand right now in the chat for the regular Q&A, go ahead and do that. So question, what does it mean if you are incredibly antsy physically and mentally during the process? Like you just can't get online.
It's probably hitting some blockages, and especially with the lymphatic system, there's no big aha moment there. Like everybody's lymphatic system is compromised to some certain degree. How I was just saying with Ralph, how the lymphatic system is influencing just about every system or process in the body at the same time. It's the most easily compromised system in the body at the same time. Like it does not take much to throw the lymphatic system off. Like you don't just like go, oh, my lymphatic system's amazing. Even if that was a true statement, give it a couple of weeks. Like let allergy set in, let stress set in, let poor sleep set in, let an injury set in, you know, let toxic environments, not physically toxic, but just etherically toxic environments. Go visit your family, go interact with some Uncle Bob's. Mm, boom, your lymphatics off. anything can throw that lymphatic system off. And if you keep in mind that it's tied to your body's ability to throw off lower vibrational energy, part of what you're saying is your body's ability to change, to shift, to adapt to the environment directly is impacted by the lymphatic system. If your lymphatic system is very backed up, the body becomes very rigid in how it interacts with outer stimuli. So just that increases stress substantially. Like the more you can kind of go with the flow of things in the environment, the more that your body is in a vagal state, not in a stress state. If your lymphatic system is not functioning properly, anything becomes a stressed out state. Anything. Positive things can stress you out. You know?
Thank you. All right, guys. So next week is your I could talk, materialization oil. So it's materialization next week. So that's going to be super fun as well. And we are on week 28 next week. So that completes our programming for the night. And then start us off, Robert, with our regular Q&A.
Hey, Robert.